On the night the Titanic sank, 2 dinners were happening on the exact same ship. One table had fresh oysters, roast duckling, and a champagne sorbet served just to reset your taste buds before the next course. 2 decks below, people were eating watered-down porridge. Survivors literally called it Gruel. Same ship, same night, same iceberg coming for both of them. But here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. What people ate on the Titanic wasn't just food. It was a map of who the ship's builders thought mattered. And in less than 3 hours, that map became a matter of life and death. The Titanic wasn't just a ship. It was a floating replica of British-class society, down to the last inch. On the upper decks, the richest people alive. John Jacob Astor IV, a billionaire by today's standards. Benjamin Guggenheim. Below them, thousands of immigrants heading to America, with everything they owned packed into a single trunk. A first-class ticket could cost the equivalent of $90,000 today. A third-class ticket, just a few $100s for the entire Atlantic crossing. But the real gap wasn't in the cabins, it was on the plate. For first-class passengers, dinner wasn't a meal, it was a performance. On the night of April 14, 1912, their dinner ran for 10 courses. It opened with hors d'oeuvres and freshly shucked oysters, then 2 soups, then poached salmon in a French mousseline sauce, then filet mignon, then roast duckling with applesauce, then lamb with mint jelly. And it wasn't done yet. Somewhere in the middle came a course called punch romaine, a boozy champagne sorbet served for one reason only, to clear the palate so the next course would taste even better. Dessert was Waldorf pudding, peaches in chartreuse jelly, and fresh chocolate eclairs. Almost everything was French, because in 1912, French cuisine was luxury, and behind every plate was Chief Chef Charles Proctor, running a kitchen staff of 80 people. 80 people for one dinner. Captain Edward Smith wasn't even at this dinner. He was at a private retirement party, completely unaware of what was about to happen in just a few hours. Now let's go below deck to what was called steerage. Breakfast was oatmeal porridge, smoked herring, boiled potatoes, and bread with marmalade. Their biggest meal of the day was actually at lunch, roast beef, ship's biscuits, and plum pudding. Dinner, though, was just a light supper. Gruel, cheese, and crackers, because the real meal had already happened hours earlier. But here's something most people don't know. For Titanic's time, this food was actually better than the standard. Food historian Veronica Hink points out that for a lot of third-class passengers, this was more food more regularly than they'd ever had back home. Many of them came from poor regions of Europe where a guaranteed daily meal wasn't a given. So third class on the Titanic wasn't bad food, it just wasn't equal food. So far, this just sounds like one meal fancy, one meal simple. Not that dramatic, but the real difference shows up the moment the ship starts sinking. The first-class dining saloon was on B deck, practically next to the lifeboats. Third class was buried deep in the ship, behind a maze of narrow corridors that even the crew struggled to navigate. So whatever was on your plate that night was basically a preview of how close you were to a lifeboat. And that's exactly what the survival numbers show. Most first-class passengers survived. Hundreds of third-class passengers never even made it to the upper deck. That dinner menu wasn't just food. It was quiet proof of exactly whose life the ship's designers had decided mattered more. One last thing. A number of passengers kept their dinner menus in their pockets that night, just as a keepsake. When they climbed into the lifeboats, those pieces of paper were still with them. Today, over a century later, those same menus sell at auction for hundreds of thousands of dollars. A piece of paper that was once just part of a normal dinner is now one of the most important surviving voices from that night. Because when the ship went down, when the people were gone, those menus stayed, and they're still telling us the same story. That night, 2 completely different worlds were eating dinner on the exact same ship at the exact same time. If this surprised you, tell me in the comments. If you'd been on the Titanic first-class oysters or third-class gruel, subscribe, because next time we're covering something even darker. What the Titanic's own crew ate that night while serving everyone else.